Hey guys, welcome back to Little Boy Customs. It's been a while since I've posted, almost a whole week. And as you can see by the truck back there, not much has been done with it. Although I have purchased things to help me get along the way. Let's get shop updates, what we're going to do, and what we've purchased. So as you can see behind me, the hood is kind of stripped down. The truck, well, it's sitting there with a whole bunch of its parts in the bed of it, and not much has been done to that. But I did purchase something. I know a lot of guys go down to Harbor Freight, but I went ahead and upgraded and went over to Northern Tool. A buddy of mine bought the sandblaster down at Harbor Freight and said he didn't really care for it so much, and so because of that I went over to Northern Tool and bought this sandblaster. I haven't tried it yet because I just unboxed it and put the wheels on it, so sometime soon we will be using that and I'll give you a review on what that's like. Truck has been moved over here to the back side of the shop. Not much has been done to it. In fact, really nothing's been done to it. I still need to make brackets for the seats. I still need to make a middle console, and I need to strip all of this off in order so that we can primer and paint this truck. That's really the holdup. Now, as far as the seats go and the console goes, I've just had other things going on and therefore haven't built those yet. I will be making videos of both of those very soon. But in the meantime, seeing how we don't have everything to sandblast this truck and paint it or primer it, we have a new announcement. That's right, I went out and bought a new project. Well, sorta, kinda. Not really. No, I didn't buy a new project. But I did buy some things in order to get that project started. So, let's go check it out. So, with the Goon Squad having such great success with rebuilding cars that have been wrecked, I did the right thing and I purchased this 2010 Ford Taurus Limited off of Copar. Let's do a quick walk around. I'll show you everything wrong with it, and then I'll tell you my plans for it. And yes, you'll want to stick around because we're not exactly going to rebuild this car. So as you can see, the whole front end of this car has been wrecked. Yes, I did get a front bumper and a grill, but unfortunately I already threw those away. Both of them were in pretty bad shape. The front radiator and the AC condenser have been hit in the accident, and therefore they are both damaged as well. Now the condenser still works fairly well, but it is pretty well bent. Now the radiator is not holding water, so therefore I'll have to fix that. And I'm pretty sure that the culprit of the issue was these tires, because those are racing slicks, and I don't think they came from the factory as racing slicks. But that one's completely bald. Yes, this one here is flat. From this angle here, it doesn't look so bad, except for the scuff marks on the rear bumper. And yes, it is I told you it was a limited, but it's not. It's actually an SEL. But the reason why I bought this car is because it was the all-wheel drive model. The only tire that holds air is going to be this back tire here. And yes, that one is just as bald as the other one. And I know what you're going to say. Why did you buy such a piece of junk? Because I would agree with you. While this is one of the best-selling Ford cars in 2010 because it was the remake of the Ford Taurus, it got rid of the Ford 500, and this is the first year model of this body style. It did really well for Ford, and it was a pretty reliable car. But as far as to rebuild everything that's on the front end of this car and make it right again, it would be a little over $1,000 just for parts. And this car is really not worth that much. Let's check out the inside real quick. As you can see, it is super, super dirty. And luckily only one person was in the car when it hit, so we only have to replace the one airbag. And really, we're only replacing that so the steering wheel looks whole again, because, yep, we're planning on making that look original. The car is super, super dirty. It has junk in it. Some of that junk is my junk for another project that I have, so I'll have to get that all out of there. But this is our 2010 Ford Taurus. I think it has 235,000 miles on it. Still runs good. And I purchased it off Copar. Now, when I did purchase this car, they said that it was a non-running, non-driving car, and that was because they couldn't get the hood open, so therefore they couldn't jump start it, and therefore they couldn't decide whether it was a running, driving car or not. But it is. It does run, it does drive, and it actually runs really well. So, now you're at the point of, what are we doing with this car if we're not going to rebuild it, but we bought it? What are we going to do with this car? Well, so we're back in the shop. What you see behind me is a 1951 Ford Shoebox. This is a two-door sedan, which means it had the back seat, it had the weird windows in the back that rolled down, and the little wing windows that opened up as well. So a little backstory on this car here. This car's been in my family since I was 13, which was roughly 27 years ago. The vehicle was purchased from a guy here in Texas that daily drove this car, and the only thing he ever did to it was change it from the color you see right there on the firewall to the color on the outside. Now, whoever painted the car apparently had some trouble with the paint, because shortly after it was painted, it hit the sunlight, and this was the original color he had painted it. Of course, it was a little more shiny than that, but the sunlight immediately faded it to this color here. So from the story that I understand, the guy would drive this car roughly 45 to 50 miles one way to his job and then back home every day in rush hour traffic here in Dallas-Fort Worth area. He never did anything with the motor. He never did anything with the transmission. While he was driving it, the clapped out motor finally decided to blow a couple of the pistons in it, and it quit running and driving, and he parked it in his field. So it sat in that field probably for about 5 years or something like that before my dad found the car and decided it was time to rescue it. At some point in time, somebody decided that they were going to chop the top on the car, and didn't exactly finish the job. So regardless of what we do with the build, the top has to be put back together on it, and it's not, it is all here, but it needs a lot of work in order to finish it. This door, which is the passenger door, needs to completely be finished. The B-pillar needs to be finished, and everything from the C-pillar back needs to be put back together. And the roof, of course, needs to be put back together as well on the top side in order to make all this look right. So regardless, we'll have to do all of that to the car. And speaking of chopping the top, here is the disclaimer that I'm going to put out. I've never done it before. In fact, I've never cut a car up and put it back together like this one. Now, I have done the truck and other vehicles kind of like that, but where you change out the floorboards and that kind of stuff, but I've never chopped a top on a car ever. So this will be my first time to fix everything that's wrong with this one. So other than chopping the top on it, which I've never done, something else I have never done is section a car, which means to cut all this area out here to make this shorter. Now, I've never done that either, and I really like the way these cars look when it is done that way. And so I figure if we're going to fix the roof up here, and we could potentially scrap the car doing that, well, we might as well do this here and just make this whole thing a learning experience. So that is the plan with this car. We're going to take this body, and I do have the front sheet metal, the fenders, the hood. I think I have a grill and that kind of stuff, but we're going to take this body and we're going to finish the top on it. We're going to section the center part of it, and then we're either going to graft the Ford Taurus frame or what the K-member and that kind of stuff into this frame, or we're going to scrap this entire frame here and we're just going to use the floorboards and everything out of the Ford Taurus to put these two cars together and make one complete car. Just so that you understand, this car is not going to be a shiny, go fast, show winner car. This is going to be more of a rat rod, put it together, get it running. It will be safe, but it will look kind of crude. More of the rat rod style build, which I personally like that style, but that's what this car is going to end up being. The truck over here was going to be a Patina style truck, which is what I really like. I was going to keep the entire truck this white with the rust, but whenever I wrecked the cab and I had to get this new cab right here, that really changed a whole lot. And because it's like 15 different colors and it looks ugly when it's 15 different colors, I have decided that we are going to sand this one down and paint it two colors. So until I get everything in place to sand this one down, which should be fairly quickly, I'm talking about like within the next 2 weeks, everything should be here. Everything's already ordered. I'm just waiting for it to ship here to the shop so that I can sandblast this truck, get it painted, or get it primed, and then get it painted. In those 2 weeks, we're going to start working. We're going to fix the seats to where they mount to the cab. We're also going to make a center console for this truck, but we're also going to start working on this car here. And this is our next project, 1951 Ford Shoebox that we're going to put on a 2010 Ford Taurus. So, hope you stick around for this build, because I know a lot of you are truck guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you, but I think this will be just as interesting of a build. All right, guys, that's all the shop updates that I have currently. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll stick around to watch us build this car here. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. If you are excited about this build, please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know that you're excited about this build as much as I am. My dad had one of these when I was a young kid. It was a 49 Ford. It was an all-original car, and me and him had great times in that car. And while we're building this car, I'll tell you some of the stories and the shenanigans that me and him did in his car, which had prompted me to get this car here. So, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And until next time, thanks for watching. Be safe.